Thank you so much, Martina, for talking to me about meetings. And I just wanted to just dive straight in and ask you just to give us a quick summary of the play.
Oh, quick summary of the play Meetings. Well, it's a play by Mustapha Matura, who we lost just before COVID lockdown. So this is the first chance that there has been to put on to stage one of his plays. So it's, it's a great honor to be doing that. And what it is, it's set in early 1980s in Trinidad, in Port of Spain, the capital, and it's a successful, wealthy couple who are, financially successful and do very well, and each of them meets a point of crisis during the play, but for different reasons, almost kind of opposite reasons. The husband finds himself compelled towards more traditional thoughts and foods and living, and she finds herself embroiled in this drama involving a foreign tobacco company.
Ooh, interesting. And you played the lady, basically the wife, yeah. Jean. Oh, interesting. Okay. It sounds so, I'm very excited. I'm going to watch it on Wednesday. So I'm really looking forward to it.
That's going to be evening, I think, because it's an industry evening. So we've got a lot of people coming who are in the industry, and I'm hoping to have a special guest there. So we'll see.
Nice.
We'll see if he turns. Yeah.
That'd be really exciting. What drew you to the character of Jean in the play Meetings, and also how do you relate to her?
Well, I'm drawn to the play. It wasn't necessarily the character of Jean. I like that the play talks of Trinidad, and it talks of a side of Trinidad that people don't often associate with the Caribbean. The Caribbean is seen as a kind of a holiday destination, and actually there are people that live there who live with the same concerns that we have across the globe, and also I think it shows the effects of capitalism on small economies, and how that affects the sense of self, but also how it leaves many countries and communities prey to exploitation by larger industries and larger financial countries and economies and things. So Jean is great. She's very true to her instincts. She's open and she's honest. It's like a lot of characters you've got to go, okay, well, what's underneath what they're really saying? She just says it. It comes out her mouth. There's not much of a filter, which is to play. But it means that we're very different characters, that she says and believes things that I don't. So it's interesting to have to voice that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's interesting that you said about people don't always people forget that the Caribbean is more than just a holiday destination. It is a place where people live, and there is so much more to different islands than what people expect. Like, I know lots of people, when they think of Trinidad, they think of, oh yeah, holiday destination and carnival, when there's like so much more to Trinidad than just that.
And it shows is like daily life. I mean, it's literally a couple, and they greet each other every morning and have coffee and go, what's what you got on today? What's your day going to be like? And shall we meet for dinner? Excuse me. So it's it's a slice of life, really. Yeah. Which is great to see. It's great to see. It's funny that should be radical to represent daily life and normal concerns, and a relationship, a marriage, is radical.
It's crazy to think it, isn't it? Because it really is day-to-day things that we should see more of. But you're right, whenever it comes to anything that's to do with certain stories, it's usually extreme stories rather than just normal things. And I think people, all audience members, but especially the Caribbean community, will just love to see their own kind of like their community being presented normally.
Absolutely. And I think audiences do appreciate that. Also, there's a lot of talk of food in it. So certainly the Caribbean community recognize that there, we have the same dishes, even though we're different countries, different islands. We have the same ingredients, and it's appeals across the board, really. Yeah.
Totally. Talking about dishes, because I have my favorite Caribbean dishes, even though I'm not Trinidadian, I'm from Guyana and Jamaica. Trinidadian food is most probably one of my favorites of all, to be honest.
Where did you say? Where else?
Jamaica and Guyana.
Jamaica and Guyana. Wow. Okay, so you cover like north to south. Absolutely.
Yeah, but Guyana and Trinidad, I feel very similar with their food, just because of the Indian influence and the Caribbean.
Absolutely.
Combined. I was going to ask you, so obviously the play is based, there is lots of themes around Caribbean culture and Trinidadian food. If you and Jean were to create a signature meal, what would it be and what would you like it to be called?
Well, Jean doesn't eat Trinidadian food.
Oh, she doesn't?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's on. Are you there? You're frozen. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Are you there?
Yes, I've got you back now.
You can see me. Okay, yeah. I think Mustapha uses Jean to represent the notion of a generation turning away from what is inherently Trinidadian. I think it's kind of amplified for dramatic effect. I think Trinidadians of all classes still enjoy Trinidadian food, but he's being used to make a point. So I don't know what Jean would do. She likes French food, so I don't know what signature dishes that might involve. It might involve some, something with a bit of a French influence, like Martinican food or something like that, which is also Caribbean. But we've got all, and as the play says, we've got all those influences in our food, because Trinidad, of course, has a history that's French and Spanish, as well as British, and as well as native native Amerindian, so which is Carib and Arawak. So there's a wide range there. Our food is very similar to Venezuelan food as well. So Christmas is coming up, so we're going to be having pastels. I think we'd do a pastel something, which is cornmeal with a filling of minced meat or fish or chicken or anything like that, that's flavored with raisins and olives. And I know it sounds like a strange combination, but it really, really works. And it's steamed in plantain leaves or banana leaves. It's I love it. So yeah, that's Christmas pastels is what I would do right about now.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Is that a traditional Trinidadian dish or?
Yes, but it's very similar to, Central American tamales.
Yeah.
Because we've got that influence as well from Venezuela. And at Christmas time in Trinidad, we sing songs in Spanish called parang music. And so those are in a sort of a traditional Spanish patois. Yeah.
I had no idea that there was such big Spanish influences.
We got everybody in Trinidad. But
it really is so many different cultures in one country. That's amazing. I had no idea. I need to really learn more about Trinidadian culture because, very similar, I guess, again, to Guyana, because the same kind of that Spanish culture is really heavy.
Absolutely. I mean, you guys are on the South American mainland, so obviously you're neighbored by Spanish as well as Suriname.
Yes, yeah. It's so fast. The Caribbean is such so much. It's so rich in culture. Like honestly, I love being Caribbean because it's just
Yeah,
so rich in
yeah.
everything. What would you like? Because what would you like the audience to take away from the play? Because it is in the Orange Tree, which is in Richmond, and
Mhm.
not the most Caribbean heavy audience. I've been there so many times to know that sometimes you just find that it's a very small handful. But I
Yeah.
think everyone can really take something away from it. But what would you like the audience to take away from the play?
I'd like the any audience to put into perspective the effects of globalization um on economies, on countries like Trinidad. I think it's not just a story about Trinidad. It's a global concern. There's a certain, I don't want to give too much away about the plot, but there's an exploitation that happens by a foreign company, and we are vulnerable. Communities like that, countries like that are vulnerable on that scale. And what happens is not only financially predatory, that might be a strong word, but also culturally, and the sense of identity that is also at stake when it comes to global scales of investment and exploitation. So I'd like any audience to take away a sense of responsibility to the globe and to other cultures and communities.
Which you're right, that is for everyone, because no matter where you're from, sometimes you can get so caught up in your own culture and your own community that you forget there is a huge range of cultures and communities out there.
That are affected by what we do over here. They don't live in isolation, and Trinidad might be an island, but no man is an island.
Exactly, it's so true. I totally agree with you. I was going to ask you a question about Jean. So if you had to pick one word to describe her that's not typically associated with her character that we would usually see, what would it be and why?
One word. Well, I would say vulnerable. She comes across as this dominant businesswoman, ambitious, all those obvious words, but actually what I found in playing her is that there's a real vulnerability and struggle for self-worth underneath all of that veneer. So I think that's the word that I most associate with her, or at least how I see her. And I think that's important to remember. She's been given a criteria of success that she's constantly fighting to try and keep up with. Doesn't free her. She thinks it's freedom, but it's the opposite. It enchains her. So that I think she's very vulnerable.
Interesting. That's such an interesting thing. I'm going to be looking out for vulnerability on Wednesday, for sure.
Oh, let me know when you come on Wednesday, because we've got a Q&A afterwards as well.
Oh, really?
So,
okay.
Yeah, so let me think.
I will. I picked the right day then for Q&A as well. That's double bonus. I was going to ask you, especially taking from the fact that she is vulnerable, if you had to give Jean some advice that might just change the course of the play, what would it be and why?
I would give her the advice, and maybe you'd see this when you come. I'd say take a day off and go to the beach. Go to the beach, go in the water, lie in the sun, and let your body just soak in what the benefits actually are of living in a place like that, of living in the Caribbean.
That's great advice. And you know what? I think everybody should take that advice in general, because sometimes we're just constantly going, but you just need some time to just enjoy the moment, your environment, especially the beach. That's even better.
Absolutely. Let your body, because our bodies are our best guide that life has given us, you know.
Mm.
If you read your body, if you listen carefully, you know how you're doing. You know how you're doing mentally, how you're doing spiritually, all those kind of things. And I think something like going to the beach is a wonderful way of just being in touch with your own rhythms. You know, in that water, that sea water is so healing. It's so spiritual. You know, during lockdown, I understand that beaches were put on out of bounds. The people weren't allowed to go to beaches, and for a lot of people, that's being cut off from something very spiritual.
It makes it really hard when you can't access something like a beach, because you're right, it is very spiritual. The sounds of the waves can really be very therapeutic as well.
Absolutely, everything about it. So,
and the vitamin
I really
D.
love the
beach.
We,
we need the beach right now. That's especially where we are. It's very, very grey. I have some very quick fire questions for you. So it's just anything that comes to your mind. My first one is your favorite theatre space.
Oh, I'm really enjoying working at the Orange Tree. I don't know if I've got a favorite theatre space. I'm really enjoying working at the Orange Tree. I love spaces that are small and that you communicate so well. And this one's in the round. I've always been fascinated by the space, so it's nice to play that. And similarly, you know, I was at the National last night. I actually enjoy I'm trying to remember what it's called now. It's not called the Cottesloe anymore. What's it called? Anyway, the smallest space at the National. The Littleton's great, the Olivier's great, but I like that studio space the best.
Nice. No, I know the one you're talking about. I think that's where they've got
Death of England. Death of England's on at the moment. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a really nice space there. Your favorite theatre show, it can either be one you've watched or one you've been in, but one that's really stood out to you.
I think one that I've done that I really love doing was The House That Will Not Stand, that was on at what is now the Kiln and was at the time the Tricycle Theatre. That was written by an amazing American playwright, Marcus Gardley. And I fell in love with that script on page 1. Stage directions. Just literally how he wrote the stage directions made me go, oh my God, I love this play. I love this play. So I think, that's one of my favorites.
Nice. Your dream guest, so someone you would love to see this play, they can be dead or alive.
Well, you know what? I'd love Mustapha to see the play. I'm getting a bit emotional now.
Oh, but no, that would have been nice to see the work come to life.
When he was alive, we workshopped together, and we did a couple of presentations as well of his version of the Three Sisters.
No, that's fine. No, I totally understand. I'm going to go on to another one, which is, in fact, I'm going to give you a light-hearted one quickly, which is, if you're in a Caribbean shop, a food shop, what are you ordering?
Roti. It shouldn't be a chicken roti because I shouldn't be eating chicken, but it'll be a chicken roti. No one tries doing lobster rotis, that will tell you. I think maybe Jean would like a lobster roti.
Oh, a lobster. She's keeping it fancy. She's staying true to herself. Your proudest career moment to date.
Okay, I know this sounds, you got to understand the reason though.
Okay.
I did Little Mermaid, which came out earlier this year, which is wonderful and proud to do a Disney movie. However, what's even better is because the character Lashana that I played was, we let her be Trinidadian. A lot to Trinidadians because Caribbean people generally to see sort of authentic representation in a Disney movie, but also because I did not realize this because I had already moved to this country, but in 1990, of course, there was an attempted coup in Trinidad, which meant that there was a curfew, and people were obviously locked at home. And at the time, the original animated Little Mermaid had come out on video, and people used that to entertain kids and to kind of lift spirits while they were locked up at home.
Wow.
I did not even know that Little Mermaid has a sort of special place in the hearts of Trinidadians. So for that reason, I was I'm really pleased that I got to be part of that film.
No, that's amazing, because that film is historical, because there were so many things that made people say no to the film, that to be a part of such an amazing film, I think it is a great thing. And as you said, it made an impact to kids then, and it will make one now.
And it goes down in history for all the reasons that people said no.
Exactly. Yeah.
It actually is its strength. And another lesson to us all, that its strength and its beauty.
Yeah, no, totally. My very last 5 question for you is the person who has had, it could be multiple people, but the person who's had the greatest impact on your career.
On my career? Well, it's hard to say, because we don't ever approach anything artistic alone. We are influenced all the time by people that we work with, people whose work we love, people who support us. So there are so many people that I am still here thanks to. But inspiration-wise, I'm very lucky that I had, growing up in Trinidad, some very real, authentic, pioneering influences. There was a wonderful woman who's very important in Trinidad culture, a great grand dame called Beryl McBurney, who in that post-independence period brought folk music and folk culture and folk dance into our main spaces and made it celebrated. Throughout the Caribbean in her era, there was such a movement to honor and celebrate our indigenous culture and the cultures that had been sidelined and not received their due recognition and respect. And now we have such a strong sense of identity in our culture throughout the Caribbean because of people like Beryl McBurney. And I was lucky enough to have been taught by her as a little child.
Wow.
Yeah, so people like her dedicate their whole lives to expressing who we are, and we benefit as a result of a life of sacrifice.
Wow, no, that's awesome. It's really nice that you got to be taught by her too.
Because she had it in her home. Her whole house was given over to facilitating and bringing our culture alive.
Wow, no, that's amazing. That's a great person to choose in that case. Well, Martina, that is all my questions for you. Thank you so much. You have you've been amazing, and I'm really looking forward to just watching the play on Wednesday, listen to the Q&A, and just learning more about meetings and the Trinidadian food and everything. Yeah, really exciting.
I'm looking forward to seeing you and everyone going to be there. I think it's going to be a lovely night.
I think so too. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, darling.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Again. Bye-bye.
Bye.